What up, fam? If you like a good forest fire, hit the like, hit the subscribe, and try to come talk some Sixers with us.
Let's go! This ain't the fuck night! Oh, this game can heat stink!
Oh, shit!
It's gone!
Hi, folks. Bob Mannery here. You're listening to A2D Radio, real sports talk radio for the fans, by the fans, no agenda. These guys are the best in the business. Hashtag it. No notes.
Welcome in, everybody. It's the HUD Radio Sixers postgame show. That's Ryan Brotto. I'm Tom Arnone. Every postgame we are brought to you by FanUp, and FanUp is the best way to enjoy fantasy sports, daily NBA contests, and more. Win great prizes. Sign up today. Use promo code A2D for 5,000 bonus points. That's a $50 value. FanUp, you can download them right on the Apple Store. This is going to be a fun one. So we're 0-2 in post games. So hopefully we can trend better. We'll do comments of the night at the end of it. Loser of the game, which you can just say the entire Sixers team. Winner of the game, I don't know. Gut reactions is going to be our main topic at hand, and Gut Reactions is brought to you by Manscaped, and you can get 20% off and free shipping with the code A2D at manscaped.com. Unlock your confidence and always use the right tools for the job with Manscaped. From the weed whacker, the lawnmower, the ball deodorant, what doesn't Manscaped have? So get 20% off and free shipping with the code A2D at manscaped.com. Gut reactions, horrendous, disgusting, unacceptable. Like I'm okay with like losing postseason games, and I'll be the guy to tell you like, hey, it really doesn't matter, you know, until you get to the postseason, right? Like none of it really matters, and truly, this one doesn't necessarily matter. But with me, it becomes trends, right? I get caught up in the trends with stuff. So I look at Tuesday night's game, and I look at giving up 37 points in the fourth quarter to the Milwaukee Bucks, and unacceptable at home, unacceptable. And tonight, you get outscored 29-15 in the fourth quarter by the Detroit Pistons. The Detroit Pistons. James Harden, not good enough tonight. Okay, the only guy offensively, really that brought it was Joel, but he had 7 turnovers, right? 7 turnovers. So that's not good enough. This team was atrocious tonight on the road against a bad basketball team in the Detroit Pistons that just brought more energy. I mean, that's what they did tonight. They just brought more energy. This is going back to fourth quarters that we saw in years past. This looks like a team that's not ready for the postseason, right? You know, Barry, keep what energy I had the other night, Barry. Like, I don't know that I still believe in this team. Yeah, I do. I do still believe in this team. I don't think it's like the sky hasn't completely fallen on us, right? That will happen when the exit comes in the postseason before it's supposed to. That's when the sky will fall. But if you look at the last 2 games and you look at the way they play defense in the fourth quarter, you look at the way their offense has been in the fourth quarter, that doesn't bode well for me come playoff time. That looks like something that's disturbing. That looks like something to worry about. All right? I don't know what to say about this basketball team right now. They got a lot of soul searching to do. If they want to get past the second round and they want to be Eastern Conference Finals contenders, they got a long way to go. They got a really long way to go. And this all started out great when James Harden came in, right? It was a love affair. Now I feel like we traded our soul for another devil. Like I feel we traded our soul for another devil. I mean, 2 for 9 tonight, 2 for 9 from 3. So we're just jacking. We're just jacking. He hasn't been good enough. I don't even care anymore. He hasn't been good enough. And maybe his loser stigma is wearing off on this basketball team. I don't know. I don't know. People want to blame Doc Rivers. Blame away. When you lose a basketball game to the Detroit Pistons, you can blame everybody. Right? Everybody's at fault. Right? And to say that, like, hey, will this dictate how we do in the postseason? I don't know. Nobody has that answer. So if somebody's going to sit here and tell me they have that answer, you're a fucking liar. All right? You're just making stuff up and you're on a hate train. Right? Or you're just this out on that out on this basketball team that's where you are right now. Right? That they're not good enough. I don't know. And anybody's going to sit here in the chat and claim they know, or sit here and do shows with me and claim they know, I'm going to say they're a liar because nobody knows. Right? We've seen great basketball played and we've seen atrocious basketball played. So who are they? Where are they? I don't know. Like I said to you the other night, and I said to you on Wednesday night too, is that you're going to find out come the postseason. And that's when you can freak out. But if you want to freak out to a regular season loss against Detroit, freak out with me because I'm not happy about that. That's disgusting. But it's not the end-all, be-all either. Like, I don't know what they're going to do in the postseason. They don't know what they're going to do in the postseason. And even if they won tonight, I don't know what they're going to do in the postseason. But I think they can go to an Eastern Conference Finals. Does that mean they're going to go? From the looks of the last two games, absolutely not. But then there's games before that where they look great. So I don't know what to think of this basketball team. They're in a skid, and a skid at the wrong time. That's all I know. This is a skid at the wrong goddamn time. So I mean, you can't get outscored like this in the fourth quarter. You can't turn the basketball over like this on the road against any team, especially good teams. All right. And this is a bad one, but especially good teams. So this has been a bad 3 games. And this is where you find out about people, right? You find out about your star players. You find out about the coaching. You find out about everything. So, I mean, these last 6 games, even though they're regular season games, man, you want to get it. You better want to get Trill, I'll fucking talk as much as I want because I own the goddamn company. And I will let the other guy fucking talk. And I'll sit back and listen to him fucking talk. So get out of my goddamn chat with bullshit. All right? I'll talk all night. All right? I'll talk all night now just to prove you wrong. All right? It's disgusting. It's a terrible loss. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, I mean, it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing, this entire thing. For the most part, anything that's being said in the chat, minus the previous comment, it's fair game. If people want to be off the wagon after this, if they want to say that this reveals what they truly are, what James Harden is, what Joel Embiid's going to be in the playoffs, all that, be my guest. Be my guest. We joked about this before the game and said, we talked about, hey, it would make sense just because the Sixers are the Sixers to where they go into it, they're kind of just coasting and they believe, oh, we can just, have minimal effort and we can flip a switch in the fourth quarter and we can end up winning this game just because we're more talented. The opposite happened. They hung around, and the Pistons flipped a switch in the fourth quarter and we got embarrassed. And I almost wonder if we didn't because that would be egregious, but it almost felt like at periods of times that we had more turnovers than points in the fourth quarter. I mean, I would have to really go back and look at it and break it down, but it felt like you had 4 straight possessions where you either let go of the ball and it should have been a turnover or it was just a flat out turnover. I'm getting sick and tired of when things aren't going right for the begging for fouls thing comes into play because I don't fall into the people saying like, oh, well, all Harden and Embiid are fouls. Okay, I think that argument's lazy. I think that's incorrect. But when you are begging for fouls and you're literally flopping and you're let going of the ball, assuming you're going to get calls because you can't make anything else, that's where it becomes embarrassing. The bench, I mean, it starts with the bench. It doesn't end with the bench because they weren't on the floor when you were getting outscored 29-14 or whatever the hell it was in the fourth quarter. But that's atrocious. And this isn't, I'm not saying this, I've been saying this for the last couple of weeks. This really cements it to me. But who knows? I could be dead wrong. Nobody has a crystal ball. But this is the example of why my fear and why I wasn't ready to say, okay, definite Eastern Conference Finals to where I don't really know what it is. This screams 2019 to me. It really, truly does, where they had a ton of talent on their roster, but they were fundamentally, for lack of a better phrase, they're fundamentally stupid. This is a stupid basketball team at times. Like, you don't know how to box out against the Pistons. You don't know how to play normal transition defense against the Pistons. And I'm just talking about tonight. I'm not talking about how it was embarrassing against the Suns and the Bucks, because I can let that go because the Bucks are the best team. They're the defending champions, and the Suns are the best team in basketball by far. So I can let that go and be like, it doesn't really mean anything. I also don't understand how. I don't know if this is a Doc thing. I don't know if it's a Harden thing. I don't know if it's both. It doesn't really matter who is to blame here. I blame the Sixers because this is what I'm seeing. When Harden gets here, you're seeing complete team offense. You're seeing ball movement. You're seeing him get other guys involved, and also his involvement of other players can help James Harden. Ever since that Nets game, you've seen James Harden on a friggin' island, especially when he's ice cold. I do not understand why you're seeing that, especially because of what we saw at the beginning of this stretch. You're falling into the trap as to why a lot of people thought the Embiid Harden experiment wouldn't work, because they're separate entities. I don't know what the hell happened in the first week, but can we please get back to that? And I'll stop because Mr. Rudy Poo has a super chat, which we appreciate.
What do you mean they're separate entities? Like, obviously they're different players, but what do you mean by separate entities?
There's the ball movement has completely disappeared. It's okay. Harden's going to dribble, shoot. He's going to play ISO, and then Embiid's going to play ISO, and then Tobias is going to have his slow moving. He's either going to, like, the whole quick shooting's gone to where he comes off a screen and then he passes it to Tobias for a wide open three. That's gone in the last 3 games. That's gone away from stretches. It's kind of like, hey, Harden's got the ball. He's going to do his thing for one possession. It's not, hey, I'm going to pass it 4 times and get other guys involved. They've completely gone away from it. And you're seeing that, like, in the fourth quarter, like, Embiid's getting smothered because he's playing his own game, and Harden's ice cold. So then you need Tobias and Maxey and all these other guys to have a pulse, and they just don't. Like, the bench, and then don't even get me started when the bench comes in, because then it's, that's a whole nother argument, which we'll get to in the losers whole thing. But it's like you had a system, right, of these guys playing off of each other, and now it's just kind of like, oh no, I'm hot tonight, so I'm going to do everything. Everybody else just stand.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of not moving the basketball around. I thought they did that good over the first, I would say, 11 games together for the most part. This is 3 games where they haven't. That's factual. That's what we've watched. But again, like, after Mr. Rudy Poo's comment, I'll read this and then I'll say something else. But he said, Tom, it's obviously obvious that this team likes their seeding. The whole game plan was just the ISO. They are taking games off, but not actually sitting games. I mean, maybe if you want to think that deep into it, Mr. Rudy Poo, like, I'm not gonna give them that out. Like, tonight's a game where you have to go win. Okay, it's unacceptable to not go win. And then the play like you did in the fourth quarter again, that's cause for concern. But I'm not going to do what people want me to do, and that's say they're not good enough to go to an Eastern Conference final. Like, I'm not going to say that. Like, people want me to come on here, and I see people in the chat before we even hit live, like, oh, what are you going to say now, Tom? I'm going to say the same thing I said last night. It's a fucking regular season game. It's a horrendous loss. There's no way to run from it. You can listen to the first 5 minutes of me talking about it, okay? First 5 minutes, because that's how long I talked to the one guy who's got a lot to say. That's how long I talked for. It was 5 minutes, all right? And we can go back and look at tape if you don't believe it, all right? So 5 minutes, and I ranted about this basketball team. So now I try to calm it down and say I'm not gonna waver that I don't believe that I do believe that this team can go to an Eastern Conference final. And if somebody doesn't have them going there, then fine. Like, but it's also not the time for the people that don't believe it to puff chest. Like, the wrong time to do it. Like, I would suggest y'all that are puffing chest in the comments, I would suggest you take a step back and be careful, and just be careful. Because we've gone in the postseasons riding high and getting smacked right in the back of the head. Right? Plenty of times. All right? They got to play better basketball. They got to figure out the fourth quarter struggles. Okay? Absolutely. That's closing time. That's when you find out who the best players on the court were. And the best players on the court were all on the Detroit Pistons tonight in the fourth quarter. Right? That's not good. But why? Like, you guys want me to jump off a wagon when I believe I had the best player in the league still? Fine. I don't call that a true fan. Like, you can say, well, Tom, you're not being objective. Yes, I am. If they play like this in the postseason, they might be a first-round exit. But I don't believe they're going to play like this in the postseason. I don't. Sometimes you got to get this stench off of you. Sometimes you got to fail before you can really succeed. And that's coach speak. No, that's the facts. Like, sometimes you're going to go through this during a regular season. Teams do it all the time. We're like, oh my God, that team doesn't look like they're good anymore, right? So now they have to respond to this. And how will they? I don't know. But I still believe that they can go as far as Joel Embiid can take them. And I think that is an Eastern Conference final. We'll get there. We'll find out. But you're going to tell me, oh, you're crazy because of the last 3 games. But before these 3 games, if I was saying that, I wasn't that crazy, was I? So we can overreact the regular season games, like in terms of our goals. Make sense? Like, not overreact in the moment how it's a terrible loss, right? That's how I reacted to come in. But now I'm not going to let that get in the way of how good I think this team can be. And I think that's fair. What do my eyes tell me, Trill? I mean, there's been moments through this that my eyes have told me that I would be careful wanting to play these guys. And then there's other games where I'm saying, well, they're done in the first round. Right? So it's the give and take here. It's the give and take.
KZ, bench him for who? That awesome bench that scored 0 points in the first half? That scored 3 after 3 quarters? That scored 8 as a whole? Like, we got to stop talking about the trade, guys. We got to stop talking about the trade. They weren't good enough before, and okay, they might not be good enough afterwards. That's not the point. Like, how many times we have to keep going back to a trade about a guy who was never playing? Like, I get it. Like, when you get a Harden, you expect things to all change, but I don't know. Like, we got to stop talking about a trade, guys, because it didn't dictate anything. All it could do was to go upwards, and stop with the Seth Curry and Andre Drummond, please. Like, please stop. Seth Curry and Andre Drummond wasn't going to save ourselves from having effort and team defense and ball movement tonight against the friggin' Pistons. Like, if your guys up top can't do what they need to do against the friggin' Pistons in March on a Thursday, we got to stop. We got to stop with these others, like these role players. If our top guys can't get it done, enough. Like, we got to stop talking about, okay, boy wonder and everything.
You're going to go as far as these 4 guys take us.
Thank you.
What was that?
Thank you.
If anybody thinks otherwise, like I posted today, buy a clue. Like, everybody yelling and screaming for a bench. Like, why? What are you talking about? All right, we just last year begged to not play the bench, and now everybody's begging for a bench. Like, shut up. And trust, we appreciate the super chat. He said, look at Paul Reed's stats against the Clippers. I did, and I watched the game, and his stats came with 2 minutes left in the game. So, I mean, I did look at his stats. There was 2 minutes left in garbage time. So you guys really want to do this tonight? We really want to do this?
Learn what? I don't understand, like, what we're lacking as far as learning. I don't understand what that means. What, that they're not good enough? Nobody's going to learn that until we see it, until it happens. Good God. I don't think in the first 40 seconds, we once talked about, oh, this is still, we're still going to win the NBA Finals. No.
I don't know if anybody said that, period. Like, even when the trade happened. Like we said, hey, this can be the team that goes to the NBA Finals and has a chance to win it. But I don't think anybody was running down Broad Street like it was over.
It was a trade that actually gave us somewhat of a shot. It raised our potential because you had a player that was making money that wasn't sitting out. You went from $35 million sitting to a guy who's getting paid $30-some million who's playing.
It's just common sense. And I want, all the energy the first week and 2 weeks into this. Where are y'all at now? Because people were running the Broad Street. People did think this team was at minimum an Eastern Conference Finals contender. So, listen, I'm just telling you guys, keep the same goddamn energy. If they do go to the Eastern Conference Finals, because it's not over. Like, they got to fix things. Absolutely have to fix things. But to say that it's like there's no chance of them going there anymore, I think that's also a little outlandish too. Right? Like, guaranteeing they go there or saying there's no chance of them going there, both I think are are like a little overreactions on both sides.
Yeah, nobody has a crystal ball, and that what you've said numerous times. It's again my biggest takeaway, and we're like the furthest I can get to as far as panic after this game, because I joked with a couple people prior to the game. I said the only thing that can happen tonight is bad. If you win by 50, it's the Pistons. If you lose, that's where like impact comes into play, right? Like if you win this game by 10, if you win by 7, if you win by 20, it's kind of like, oh, okay, it's a good bounce back after 2 straight losses. It's against the Pistons. It's a game you should win. Like there's not much you can take away from that. So the only thing in a game like this is bad, and this is bad times 30 because you let a team hang around. You clearly were going 65% effort, which I think is atrocious. And I get it. You're saving it for the regular, for the postseason. All that's fine. I'm not saying you should treat it like a finals game 7 tonight. No, but they hung around and then they boat raced you in the 4th. So if you want to say, hey, this shows what they truly are, and that's a fundamentally stupid basketball team, which I would buy into, or, oh, they're not deep enough and they have a ton of talent, but they don't know how to use it like 2019. I will also go there. I will also say, yeah, I'm close to that point. Then, oh, okay.
Well, devil's advocate, were they fundamentally stupid this entire season? Were they fundamentally stupid when they were 10-3 with Harden? No, they weren't. That's factual. So, are they fundamentally stupid at times? Yeah, yeah. Like, but again, like I just think everybody's like just jumping off the wall. We're gonna find out. Like, I don't know how many times I can say it. We're going to find out how good, bad, or indifferent this basketball team is. And if you're going to base it off regular season stuff, when I believe this team is just honestly in coast mode now to the postseason, fine. Do I agree with that? Am I making an excuse for that? Absolutely not. I'm just telling you what I think and what I see. And what I see is a team showing a little lack of effort at times and almost on coast mode. That's just what I see. That doesn't make any of it acceptable. That doesn't make losing to the Detroit Pistons acceptable. It's totally unacceptable. I got zero time for it. I'm pissed, but I'm also not going to say that they can't go to an Eastern Conference Finals now, like the entire chat saying, where people are already talking about the offseason, or people are literally talking about Seth Curry. Like, this is what is happening right now. We're talking about Seth Curry in the offseason. Listen, man, we still got playoff basketball. We didn't get eliminated from the postseason. So can we figure it out? Can we get back to the things we were doing right? That's the question. That's the question that's going to be on Doc, and that's the question that's going to be on this basketball team. But I do feel like that they're going to figure it out. Now, is that enough to win it all? I don't think they're winning it all. But is that enough to get to where we at least want to get to give ourselves a chance, which is an Eastern Conference Final? I don't think that's crazy to say. Like, well, how is that crazy to say? I need people. I need to hear people. How's it crazy? Because everybody said Miami was done. And then they go win a big game on the road last night against Boston. So, like, we just chalk up that teams are done when they're not done yet. It's not over yet. What great teams are that there's no chance you're beating? Oh, wait. No chance.
No, I mean, there's no such thing as no chance. No. So if anyone's saying that, that's foolish.
Okay, slam.
The closest, again, this isn't after tonight. I think we would have a really hard time against the Bucks.
Yeah, but that's 7. That's 7. You're like the Bucks. The Bucks are up and down this year too.
Well, they haven't been healthy. I mean, they've been one of the most banged up teams behind the Warriors.
We weren't playing with it. We weren't playing with a freaking max money guy. So we thought about health. We had mental health.
I trust them. I trust them more in the playoffs, though. That's my biggest.
Right, of course you should. They won the freaking title. I mean, it's easy to say, but
that's a big factor. I mean,
in years past, they were underachievers.
Yeah, and then they finally got over the hump. Which
I understand, but it doesn't mean they're going to go. They're a dynasty and they're never going to lose. But could they? Sure. But to say that you don't think that goes at least 7 or 6, I don't think fair.
No. I would say we lose in 6. I've been.
So that's not even like the point. My point is, it's not slim. It's a dogfight.
No, I don't. And I said I don't think that exists. I don't think that team exists.
Yeah. And I'm not arguing with you about it. There isn't a slim team where they don't stand a chance where it can't go 7. Like to just say Milwaukee beats us in 6 is like a guarantee. Not saying you're saying that. Mm-mm. Anybody, I find hard to believe. Like, okay, they won last year. Congratulations, but they failed years before. All right, and that doesn't mean they're going to win again. Mm-hmm. So I mean, listen, do I consider them, Since they're defending champs, the team you got to go through. Sure, absolutely. But I think we can beat Milwaukee. Right? So I think we can beat the Nets. Now, you're going to say this after 3 games, and people are going to be like, how can you say that, Tom? Because I'm talking about the whole body of work. I'm not talking about just 3 games. So I don't know what people want. I mean, it sucks. We're in a terrible situation. I hate it here because I just knew this shit's going to happen. As soon as we start doing this stuff. Oh, let's do post games. Sure. 0-2. Quick. Great start.
Can only go up from here, though.
Listen, there's no winners of tonight, and there's no winners at all. But you can become a winner. Go check out our doc. Make them yours. Dr. Paul Vidal, Specialized Physical Therapy, LLC, Burlington, Cherry Hill locations. Find them on the web, specializedphysicaltherapy.com. The winners, Detroit Pistons.
Cade Cunningham. Go to basketball.
You could say like a little bit of Joel offensively, but the other thing, the turnovers and not showing up in the fourth quarter sort of take away from that. So
yeah, he ran out of gas. He went to the bench at the end of the third, entering the fourth, came back, and it felt like he was still on the bench. Loser real quick, just because I saved it.
Yeah, well, Loser is brought to you by BetUS. BetUS is a leading online sportsbook that has been in the market for 25 years. You can bet anywhere in the U.S. on everything. Use the link pinned right in our comment section over on YouTube or in the description on Facebook for 125% sign-up bonus. So you can win some money, even though the Sixers are a loser. You can become a winner.
As much as we talk about, obviously, Harden, he was ice cold once again. Embiid disappearing. It's the bench. That's what kept the Pistons in it in the first half. I believe they had I think we got outscored 19-0 in the first half, bench. In the first half, we combined as a bench 32 minutes, 5 total shots, 4 fouls, 1 rebound, 0 points. Just running around out there. And I think 4 out of 5 of those shots were from 3. So 0 effort as far as the paint. No, 1 rebound as a bench is disgusting in 32 minutes. And as a full game, you had 61 combined total minutes, 8 points. I didn't get a chance to do the fouls because there were too many of them, and the rebound, there were too few of them for me to average all of that out. It's disgusting. That's why I laugh, like your post earlier, Tom, when you've got callers on the radio talking about, oh, you gotta give certain guys a run. Oh, you got to put Tyrese Maxey on the bench. Oh, you got to put so-and-so on the bench for Tobias. Oh, you got to sub out Harden for so. This is your bench, and you can't do anything against the Pistons. And, if anyone in the chat, I don't think so because of the climate of this chat, are going to be like, oh, Ryan, it's 1 game. I could argue that for the game against the Miami Heat when it looked like, oh, my God, Shake Milton and Furkan, they've turned a corner. DeAndre Jordan can actually move. Danny Green can make some shots. That's funny. Last game, he was the winner of the game because he had 9 points. Tonight, he had 0 points. It's embarrassing. I'm not going to fully put it on the GM. The GM gets a lot of blame, but it's just a complete miscalculation of the buyout market. And also, to be honest, I don't think anyone factored in how this entire bench unit just forgot how to play basketball. Certain guys are unplayable. A backup center can't move anymore. You went from a plus 15 with Embiid on the floor to a minus 10 when DeAndre Jordan's on the floor every night. So that's the biggest thing. As much as we could talk about the big ones, can you have some pulse? Again, we've set a benchmark at 20. Get me to 20 points off the bench. That's not crazy. And you had 8 against the Pistons.
Yeah, the bench is a loser all year. So they can be a common running loser. Me, it's James Harden. I really is. You're not shooting good enough. Okay, 4 for 15, not good enough. 2 for 9 from 3, not good enough. I thought I was getting a star still. I don't know what this guy is because this guy's been extremely inconsistent. And if we can crush one guy for not shooting, then let's crush a guy for shooting, right? Because part of me would almost rather have the mental health back. If this is what this is going to be. You know what I mean? Just bring it back. Give me him back. Fuck it. Because this isn't good enough. This is the James Harden that we've heard about, right? Like, sadly, this is the James Harden at times that we've heard about. And I defended him the other night because, listen, he did show up in a big game against Milwaukee. Absolutely did. Okay? But come on, man. I mean, this is a game that you have to pick it up in the fourth quarter. Right? This is a game where I need you then. Right? There's certain times where you got to be like, dude, bro, I need you. Right? Like we know about Joel, but I need you. And it's another night where he didn't show up in the fourth quarter. He just didn't again. I mean, we didn't make this trade for 18-point James Harden. That's not what we made this trade for. Because anytime he's under 22, you're going to hear from me. Anytime. Anytime. And I don't know why. I don't know how you defend it anymore. No, and I'm joking about bringing the other guy back. Obviously, it's obviously tongue in cheek, but this isn't what was advertised to us.
No, you needed a solidified second star, and he's played like that for a handful of games. And then, like, it's for as many great, very, very good games he's had games where he's just been asleep at the wheel. Like, he's had some serviceable games where it's kind of like, Embiid's cooking, he's played facilitator, where it's kind of like, we're not going to make it about Harden, because when a guy like Embiid's going off, or even Tobias or Maxey, not that Harden's ever irrelevant, but it makes his role a little bit simpler. But there's been a handful of games where he's needed to step up, last game included, where he's done that. But also there's games where he's been invisible, or we've wished he's been invisible, and he's shot your way out of games. And that's why, again, like I don't know if it's a Harden thing. I don't know what the hell it is, but it's the ISO James. It's like, you know what it is? It's they're trying to do what he did in Houston, but he's like 4 years older, and he doesn't have the same health and legs that he did in Houston. So, like, of course, like they're seriously trying to replicate what he was in Houston with Embiid, Tobias, and Maxey. Like, you don't need to do that. Like, if it was a roster with, DeAndre Jordan as your starting center and Kelly Olynyk as your starting four, like, okay, then yeah, you need to cook because there's nobody else. But I the amount of times I've seen them abandon the pick and roll after, when they weren't supposed to have any chemistry, they went to it and it clicked. I'm telling you, like that's where I say, like, it's completely separate entities. It's guys just doing their own things. And this guy, he's trying to replicate what he was in Houston when he's clearly not healthy. I don't get it.
No, something's up.
Like, I'm cool with him being aggressive in the first quarter, especially if he's hot. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, I'm going to feel it out. If I have a game like, a couple games ago where I got hot, or against the Clippers, for example, where he was hot, and it was like, oh, okay, this is one of those things. Okay, we'll keep shooting. But I don't know, man. I mean, Tobias had 9 shots tonight. He only had 14 points. Maxey, once again, I mean, he shot 50%, but you just have guys just disappearing, completely disappearing. And you can't afford that when you're only running out there really 6 guys that know how to play NBA basketball right now.
Well, let me tell you something. Okay? If this team fails, right, and then we'll get in our comments and get out of here. If this team fails and doesn't get over their hump, Daryl Morey should be fired. Because this is the bet he made. Let's be clear about this. It was all Daryl got his guy. Okay? All right? I'm not saying don't make a trade. You had to make a trade, right? I'm just saying there was other things he probably could have did that were on the table, but he waited it out for this guy. The little collusion going on in the background, right? Maybe some conversations to be able to work this out to get him here, and he got his guy. So that being said, when you go out and you target a guy and you got your guy that you've been linked to from the second you left Houston to come here, better work out for you.
You're probably going to be very surprised, as the chat will be, but I actually agree with you. Which hurts to say. I mean, it's that's my guy. It's Uncle Trade Machine. But like, listen, nobody was in the back office. No one knows the deals he truly had. And we argued with Greg last Wednesday. Like, we know it was a very small, confined market for 25 because the guy didn't play, and of what we saw from him last. So it's not saying we could have gotten, anybody we wanted. But we knew from the very beginning, since he got here, 6 months, 9 months before the Simmons stuff ever happened, that it was his goal to bring James Harden here. He got that. This was his project. You pretty much put your entire reputation on a guy that, hey, it's going to be a circus when he comes in because he's forcing his way out of 2 teams. And it's going to be a circus because he hasn't been the most well-liked guy amongst NBA media circles anyway. If this blows up and they have whatever this rest of the year is and next year, if this blows up, he should absolutely be fired completely. And I think he probably will, because they're going to give it, okay, this is my plan. And again, like, this isn't off-season stuff, but anyone thinking they're going to just, they're going to get swept in the second round or lose in the second round, and then they're going to go out and get Beal and it's all going to be fixed, I would slow your roll on that too, because that is not necessarily what I'm trying to do either. So clearly this guy has a plan, but what we've seen so far, you've pretty much wrapped your arms around a guy that he's the old James Harden for about 1 out of 6 games. And that's in the regular season.
Yeah. Frank, that's all I'm saying. And I'm not even saying relax. I'm just sit back and we'll judge this team once the playoffs are over, right? I mean, it's hard to judge a team through the regular season like this. Like, you just have your trends and your things that you can be like, well, this isn't something I like, right? Closing games out in the fourth quarter, right? The way they played in the fourth quarter last week. Yeah, they're issues. They're issues to me, but I'm not done. And like, am I out and hot and cold with Harden sometimes? Yeah. I mean, that's where I probably flip-flop the most, because I just don't know. Like, there's nights where I'm like, okay, he still got it. And then there's other nights where I'm like, does he have it? Right?
Well, you've said from the beginning, like, I wouldn't say you've necessarily fully flip-flopped on it, because he came here and you said, okay, he's got to prove me something. Like, I've been one of the few guys that have really been like the Harden stan of the group. You know what I'm saying? And I've completely said that if this doesn't go the way I think it will, I'll put my hands up and say I was dead wrong. So like, people saying you flip-flop, I don't think so, because you've never really been a Harden guy. It's that on nights he's going to say, he's going to show you things that, okay, this could work. But also it's a resume that you're judging it on. And the resume isn't great. It's not.
No, he's got to prove it to a lot of us. Not that Joel doesn't have stuff to prove and Doc and other stuff, but I'm almost at the point where I feel like what I'm saying is, if you play all these 4 at the same time, you're doing a disservice. Like, through these last 6 games, I think you need to experiment with some things and see if it gives you a little bit of a spark offensively. Because right now, I think you're hurting the other 2 guys by these 2 guys playing with them. I don't know how much is playing Embiid and Harden separately. Like, and Tobias and Maxey, not that they can't all start together. I'm talking about as the game goes on, I get them away from each other. Maxey and Tobias play together. James and Joel play together. That's how I do it from here on out. I'm not saying they don't do that, because they have at times, and I think it's looked good. But I almost Maxey can't go to the bench, guys. You can't start doing this shit. What I'm saying is they all can start together, and then you have to start making those adjustments. Tonight's just a terrible loss. It's just terrible in so many ways. You can't lose to the Detroit Pistons. You can't. But
it's a revolving circle of suck.
But is it a reason to say that they're done? Like, I'm just not there yet. Let the other YouTubers that are looking for clicks do it. Like, let them guys do it. They can have it. They can have everybody stinks. Nobody's good enough. Fire Doc. Fire everybody. And I'm just going to sit here and hold out until I roast. Because if anybody that's watched A2D long enough knows, I'll roast. I got no problem saying, I was wrong. Shots fired. Okay? I got no problem saying it. But I'm going to hold on to the fact that I think they can go to an Eastern Conference final until they don't. Until they don't. And it's hard to say after losses like this, but I'm just not ready to say they can't play with everybody, because they can't. It's just, can they limit their mistakes like you spoke about, right? Can they learn how to close stuff out? I mean, they've showed games where they can't, and they show games where they can. So as bad as this stretch was as good as the early stretch, right? When they started playing together, like, oh my God, who's stopping us? It was a freaking circle jerk. And now, because we lose 3 games, understandable, right? Mm-hmm. That they stink. They stink. They're not good enough. Like, so they're somewhere in the middle. So who are they? That's the problem. I don't know who they are, right? I don't know who they are.
No, and to be honest with you, and I'll end with this. Like, this is just me. I'm not saying everyone should do this, but like, I'm going to make my judgment call on when I actually know who we're freaking playing. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm sorry. Like, I'm going to judge it. Like, if we, you know what I'm saying? Like,
in the play the Nets right in the first round, so that's over.
Yeah, so that's the thing, right? So if we're playing the Nets, I might be like, pound the alarms. We're going 7. But if we draw the Cavs, who are leaking oil, or the Chicago, who hasn't beaten any winning team, I'll be like, okay, fine. Like, we're good. We're cool. Unless something stupid happens, you know what I'm saying? Like, unless the Hawks series happens again, which is always fair game. But, like, I will judge it when I know who we're friggin' playing. Because, as we talked about, as much as there's not the clear number one team, per se, to a lot of people in the East, there's a lot of teams that fill that role of, like, okay, they can come up and bite you, but they can also lose. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it's that middle tier teams. There's a lot of very, very, very good teams in the East, which is very odd because in years past, it was very top heavy and then it would be suck. The top 6, 7 are very good teams and they can all beat you with different ways, whether it's Toronto because they smother you, whether it's, if you lose to the Cavs and the children of the Cleveland Cavaliers, then we're really going to have a roast session. But like Garland's going to go off. DeMar on Chicago is going to go off. The Celtics, obviously Williams being out is going to hurt them a little bit interior-wise, but they've got the 2 stars, Durant and obviously Irving, and then obviously the defending champions. So I'll make my judgment call, ladies and gentlemen, as will Tom, as we all were, when we actually see who we're facing. Like, I'm not going to make a freaking judgment call, because I know we're not facing the freaking Pistons. We're not going to see them in a month.
Yeah, and it's not copping out either, like saying, hey, we're going to find out. Like, and listen, I'm not, no matter who we're playing, I'm saying that I think they're going to go to an Eastern Conference final. That's it. Like, no matter who we're playing, I don't even look at that. I look at, is my team good enough? I think they are. I hope they are. Is part of it hope? Yeah. We made this trade to go there. This is why we did this. This is why we were all in. And 3 games has shifted that to first and second round exits now. Or the first round exits make me laugh because you're not going to play the Nets. So that's over now. It's essentially done. Like, you're not going to play them.
Kyle, that's not what I'm saying, Kyle. You need to see who you're facing to realize the bench stinks. Listen to the words. That's not even close to what I said. It's not even close to what I said. We're talking about the end destiny. Nobody's going to proclaim, their destiny is swept in the first round or finals contender. No. I'll determine what they're going to do in a series when I know who's on the other side of the freaking court. Not, the bench sucks. I know the bench sucks.
No, I mean, the only difference after that is, you either personally think that, and you don't, but you either personally think that they can go to an Eastern Conference Finals, or you don't. You know what I mean? It's that simple. Like, you either have them as a second round exit, on what you look at this team as, or you don't. You know what I mean? Like, I don't care who I'm playing, because I either believe they're good enough or I don't believe they're good enough. And you stand in a position you don't believe they're good enough to get past the second round, right? And because I don't look at who they play, because last year we did this. We were all like, Atlanta or the Knicks. It's a guarantee, and it wasn't. So I don't care. Like, you're either good enough to get there or you're not. And that's what we're going to find out, right? So,
and to your point, if I'm worried about matchups, then yeah, I lean on the second round because I need, you know what I'm saying?
Exactly, because you're more like, I need to know who I'm going to play because I don't trust this team. And
it screams 2019 to me. That's my fear.
And I'm not saying it doesn't scream other things, but I just think we are a good basketball team, and I think part of us is sort of trying to figure ourselves out a little bit together. And I think the other part of it is, they're almost not waiting for the playoffs, but they can't wait for the playoffs to get here. Will they be able to turn the switch on? We're going to find out, guys. We appreciate everybody joining us tonight for a little post game. Figured this would be a 20-minute because you're playing Detroit. You know what I mean? What's there to talk about? You beat Detroit. Well, guess what? We didn't. So back at it Saturday versus the Hornets. It'd be nice for this team to win a basketball game. Right now, especially in the regular season, it's extremely hard to pick them. And it was a fun post game, but the sky has fallen here in Philadelphia. All I'll tell people to do is just hold on to hope. hold on that if you think this seems good enough, and hold on that you still do have Joel Embiid. So just hold out hope.
Or my advice, maybe just turn off the TV until the playoffs start. Maybe just don't. You know what I'm saying? Just skip these next handful.
Yeah, I just don't think they stink. I think they're good. I just
hate this time of year.
They're in a little bit of a funk, obviously, and we're gonna scrutinize everything a little bit more here. But I just don't want to be like game to game, like, hey, they're good enough to go to the finals. No, they're not. You know what I mean? And they're good enough to go again. And no, they're not. I'm just gonna try to stay on one side and say, hey, I think they're good enough to go there still. And people can laugh at me, and that's fine. I'll always stay on the other side of this fan base, with all due respect to y'all. You know what I mean? With all due respect to the million fans we have in Philadelphia that are Sixers fans or Eagles fans, etc. Usually when everybody's on one side of the aisle, I sort of know how things go.
That's why I bet on the Nets on the March 10th, because I saw what was happening outside of the stadium. I'm like, I'm going to put $10 on the Nets.
Everybody thought, it was going to be a roll job. So I still think this team's good. It's hard to say after losses like this. This loss is unacceptable. But hey, we're on to the next one now, and we're on to the playoffs, and I can't wait for the playoffs to start so we can actually sort of have a feel. So we can have a little bit of a feel on what this team is, like at least a first round series, so we can say, okay, this is who they look like, right? Like we just need that taste, because we made this trade for the postseason, essentially. Mm-hmm. Now, can this team in 20 games playing together figure it out? In terms of 20 after the season's over, because that's what they're going to play together. I think it's enough to figure it out. It's not ideal. It really is not ideal, right? So let's see how good Joel Embiid is this postseason. Let's see how good James Harden can be this postseason. Our postgame shows are brought to you by FanUp, and FanUp is the best way to enjoy fantasy sports, daily NBA contests, and more. Win great prizes. Sign up today. Use promo code A2D for 5,000 bonus points. That's a $50 value. FanUp right on the Apple Store, and make sure you use promo code A2D. That's Ryan Brodo. I'm Tom Arnone. Everybody out there, we appreciate you. If you haven't already, hit the like, hit the subscribe. Stay with us and turn your damn alerts on. We out of here.